everyone, it's Lady Rose here. Just trying to get my camera adjusted once again. So I wanted to get on here just quickly and go over what is happening tomorrow for the festival. It's the festival of Lamaas, or Lughnasadh, as that big long word with all the extra H's and D's that don't seem to belong is. That's how you pronounce it, Lughnasadh. And that's the Celtic language for you. They throw in all kinds of extra things that are not needed. So I wanted to get on and talk a little bit about it and get you familiar with it if you're not familiar with it, or if you want to know extra information, that sort of thing. This is a video to watch about what it's about and what you can do to celebrate Lamaas or Lughnasadh. So those are the two main names for it, and it is considered a pagan sort of festival. However, back in the day, it was incorporated into a lot of Christian festivals, or it was incorporated as a festival in the Christian world. That's the better way to put it. So it's a wheat festival, or the grain festival. It's also known as the Feast of the First Fruits, and it's also known as the Bread Festival. It's one of my favorites because I love bread. So I really enjoy this festival. For me, I usually do actually make a loaf of homemade bread. If I don't have time to do that, then I'll try and get myself to a bakery to get some special breads to celebrate. And it's all, dinner is wrapped around, bread, as opposed to the meat and potatoes is now about bread and then something along with it. Usually it's often like a soup and bread kind of thing, or a sandwich meal that I do, or, that spinach dip that you can get for the bread. I sometimes will do that, or cheese and bread, like just melted cheese on bread. So good. So if you have a fondue pot too, you could do the whole cheese and bread thing that way. So it is actually the first of the 3 harvest festivals, or the first of the witches' Thanksgivings, as they call it. And so the first one is tomorrow, August 1st. It starts the eve of July 31st, and or the morning of August 1st. Now, like every festival, it's not just one day. Traditionally speaking, Lamaas has been a 3-day festival. And it's all about celebrating that the grain is coming in. So there's a little bit of information there. So like I said, it's the first of 3 Thanksgivings. The second one is the autumn equinox, or Mabon. The first day of fall is the second festival. So this one is the grain. The second one at autumn equinox is the vegetables. So that's a lot of times when the squashes and the pumpkins and the potatoes and the sort of the cellar root kind of harvest is coming in. The things that will get you through winter kind of thing. And then Samhain, or Halloween, is the third and final one. And that is traditionally considered sort of a meat festival, if you will, because it's the time when hunting usually happened, as well as butchering and that sort of thing. It happened around that time period going into November because it's getting colder. So a lot of times when you butcher meat, you have to hang it and let the blood drain out and all that kind of stuff. So that's why you want colder temperatures. It's just better for the butchering process. Now, as a Canadian, I have Thanksgiving right in between, an actual Thanksgiving day, in between autumn equinox and Samhain. So I pretty much celebrate 4 Thanksgivings. And sometimes I'm feeling a little Thanksgiving-ish on the American Thanksgiving holiday too. And I figure the more you're thankful and the more you're grateful is never a bad thing, right? And I don't focus in on the Black Friday. I try to focus in more on the gratitude part of that holiday, and the fact that I can make meals on those days that are bountiful and fill your tummy and, bring family together. Always a good thing, especially after these COVID days. It's always nice to get together with family because we've seen what it's like to not be with them as well. I mean, I know people have toxic families sometimes, but I missed mine. So like I said, it's the first of 3 festivals. It's known as the bread festival as well, and it's the grain festival. So it is very agriculturally based. It written documents of it go back as far as the 16th century. I'm sure it was celebrated even well before then, but it's 16th century, sort of the first kind of written record they have of it. So it's been celebrated, all across England, Scotland, all the Celtic places, Ireland, that sort of thing. And there are festivals in other parts of Europe as well. So that being said, it's a very ancient festival, and it's I'm just looking here. Oh yes, so haying. So I know it's not the first of fruits, like apples and stuff come around Mabon time, and that's when we start celebrating those vegetables. We have, of course, been harvesting other vegetables, right? Like we've had our peas, we've had our strawberries. I'm sure a lot of canning and jamming has gone on, raspberries, peaches now in Canada are starting to come in. So we're starting to get some of those kinds of fruits. And all through the hot days of summer, a lot of farmers, traditionally speaking, would be haying. So there's a double sort of end for this festival, and why it kind of lands on August 1st, because up until August 1st, you're haying. So you're bringing in the grass and stuff like that feeds your animals. Back in the day, it also helped to thatch your roof, both of your barns and of your home, so that you and your family would stay dry and warm, and so that your animals over the winter would stay dry and warm as well. Sometimes animals lived with the family, but you still needed a thatched roof, and you still needed to make sure that you had enough hay that got in so that your animals would have food through the winter. That was very important, because God forbid anybody die of starvation and then suddenly you don't have the eggs or the chicken, or the milk, or the meat or whatever that you might need through the winter. So August 1st, you're haying up until then. And after August 1st is kind of when the first grain harvests come in. So it's actually considered in Ireland bad luck to harvest any grain crops before August 1st. So you're haying up until then, and then you harvest the grains. Now, the animals ate grains too, but hay was sort of their main thing, because it could be used for so many things. It could be used for feed. Obviously, it was used for bedding, both of humans and animals. It was used for thatching roofs, like I said. But the grains then came in after that. And we're talking your barley, your oats, your rye, your wheat, your flax, and also grapes and honey became ready to harvest at that time. So the first loaf made from the new harvest grains that were milled and whatnot was considered magical. And oftentimes the tradition was to take 4 pieces of the loaf, and sometimes the whole loaf was cut into 4. That's why there's often a cross on top of the bread. Not only that, but the bread needs that cutting through, not all the way through, but just a little, slice through, to be able to expand so the crust doesn't totally disintegrate. So you would do that, but also then it would divide the loaf into 4 for you, and you would put the 4 pieces either in the 4 corners of your property, the 4 corners of your home, your barns, that sort of thing, right? You could break those pieces up and put 4 pieces around your barn and then 4 other pieces around your home, wherever you wanted protection and abundance. Because that's what the Lamaas loaf brought, was protection of the fields, the barns, the homes, and bring abundance. So your cupboards would never be empty, because of course it's a grain. And as long as you had grains, you could get yourself through if you needed to. So it's a celebration of, if you had a successful haying season and a successful grain crop harvest, then you were golden after that. Like everything else was a bonus, right? And then, like I said, it's also the time of honey being able to be harvested from the hives. This was the most abundant time, and also the grapes for the wines and the jellies and things like that you do with grapes. So Lughnasadh actually comes from the word or name Lugh, Lugh, who is the god. He's a sun god. He's a Celtic sun god. And he was the god of wheat and grains and things like that, agriculture. He was also the god of craftsmanship. So that's why there's often a lot of craft festivals around this time of the year, because they're celebrating that sun god. And his mother was also a goddess of agriculture, or at least his foster mother was. These gods, they have complicated family trees. And she was Tailtiu. Tailtiu is her name. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Don't quote me on that, though. And I've heard a weird thing about mountain climbing was done as a pilgrimage during Lughnasadh or Lamaas. And this is actually not part of the pagan celebration. This was brought in when the Christians incorporated Lamaas into their celebrations. So the church often did this because people didn't want to leave their old festivals and their old holidays. You know, it'd be like some alien coming down and saying, well, this is the religion we have in our society, so you got to leave Christmas and Easter. You know, that doesn't happen anymore, right? And how many of us would start to celebrate Christmas sort of underground, you know, kind of quiet, hush hush, right? So obviously the pagan people didn't want to give up this festival, so the church started to incorporate this in. Plus, agriculturally speaking, it's a time of bounty, it's a time to be thankful. So this whole mountain climbing pilgrimage thing actually really came in with the Christian Catholic Church kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly what the pilgrimage is about, but I know back in the day, Christians and Catholics loved to do pilgrimages. That was a huge, huge thing. So, like I said, it's a bread festival. I talked about some of the foods that I incorporate. So I do like to do like a little blessing of the breads. When I do this, I will also maybe put some loaves on my altar and bless those. A lot of times I'll take some raw dough and then I'll bless it kind of thing on my altar, and I'll sprinkle a little flour or a little grain of some kind with each kind of blessing or intention that I would like to put into this festival, that sort of thing. So I also have a little Lamaas blessing that I wrote out, and I will put it in the description, and you can also find it probably, I'll put it up on my Facebook as well, so look for me on there, or Instagram. So I'll put the links below to my Instagram and Facebook business page, which is Goddess Garage Tarot Parlor on Facebook, and I'm Lady Rose Tarot on Instagram. So let me see, where did I write this out now? Here it is. I think. Methinks. Let me just make sure that's my good copy, because I took inspiration from a prayer that was already out there, or a blessing that was already out there. And Lamaas is a Sabbath, so it's a sun holiday. When we're doing moon circles or moon rituals, whether it's new moon or full moon or whatever, or anything in between, that's called an espit. A Sabbath is a sun festival, and this is a sun festival because they're celebrating the fact that the haying has been done and over with. And if anyone's ever hayed in the summer, they know what a sweaty, hard job that is. And then the grains are also in. So things are good. It's worth celebrating. It's worth taking a few days off and go, yeah, okay, great, awesome. And it's funny that even in our modern day time, at least in Canada, we have August 1st, generally speaking, or the first Monday in August off as a civic holiday, because for whatever reason, we always know there's a reason why we're supposed to be resting, right? And celebrating a little bit. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be celebrating. Now, tomorrow's Lamaas, and then the next day is Mystic Monday. So again, it's the second day of Lamaas on Monday. So I'll probably talk a little bit about it again on Mystic Monday. But here is the Lughnasadh blessing that I wrote out. So, fields of gold, waves of grain. Summer comes to a close once again. As the wheel turns, the flower essence of golden honey flows, and plump jewels are ready to be picked from the grapevine. The harvest is ready. It's time for a feast as the sun fades. With the blessings of Lugh, our cupboards will be full, and winter won't be so dark. Flour will be milled, mead will be made, bread will be baked, and honey gathered. Celebrate, for we shall eat, drink, and make merry for another winter. So that's that. So happy Lammas. I hope you enjoy the next 3 days and have abundance come into your life. Thank you for being here. Take care. Bye.